Okay, so today I'm going to be showing you how to use the new Data Preflight app within Switch. So you can get the Data Preflight app from the App Store, and you can use it to preflight spreadsheets and make a preflight report of them, as well as get the preflighting data as a data set that you can use within Switch. So here is my Data Preflight app that I've already installed into Switch and placed on my flow canvas. Data Preflight comes with Node installed. It needs Node to run, and it's actually packaged inside the app. So it should work just as it is, but if you have issues getting it to run for whatever reason, you can actually override the version of Node that it's using. And the way to do that is find the app in the Flow Elements pane and right-click and do Set Path to Application. And that'll open a dialog where you can point to your own version of Node if you want to override the one that comes with the app. And if you ever want to reset that back to the one that is packaged with the app, you can just select Search for Application and that will set it back to the way it was. But you should be able to take that the version that is included with the app and use that, hopefully. And so we can make an example of this. We'll take a folder, and the way this works is you just route a job into it, and the output will be a preflight. Now in some cases a file cannot be preflighted, and an example of this would be if you pass in a file that's not a spreadsheet. Not all spreadsheets can be preflighted, but Data Preflight will do its best to preflight anything that it can. So most Excel, XLS, CSVs, TXTs will be able to be preflighted. So we will make a change to the success out and error out here so that we can route successes and failures one way or another. And I like to mark these with a color just to make it a little bit easier to see what's going where. Okay, and just like that we should have a working flow. So what I have here are 3 different spreadsheets that we're going to attempt to preflight. One of them is very large, so there's one that's 12 kilobytes, the other's 27, and one that's about 5.5 megabytes. So Data Preflight should be able to handle all of these. So let's start with the smallest one. We'll also drag in this other CSV, and then finally we'll put in the larger 5 megabyte spreadsheet. And I think I just downloaded all of these from the US Census. Okay, so you can see that it's finished preflighting those 2 smaller ones because it went pretty quickly. This larger one, however, it might take 20 or 30 seconds. There's a lot of checks that Data Preflight is doing, so it actually has to loop through the contents of each column several times to make all of its determinations. So that's why it takes 30 seconds or so. Very large spreadsheets for incredibly large variable data jobs or mailing jobs, they can take a minute or two, up to like 5 minutes. So just keep that in mind. But here are our preflights. You can see they're actually HTML files, and that's because the default format is HTML. In a little bit we'll check out one of the other formats and see what that's like. And here's the larger sheets preflight report. And you can see this is just an HTML file, but I'll explain what this is. So this is the name of the spreadsheet, and you can actually see it includes the switch prefix, which you have to ignore. There's 3 sheets. This is an XLS workbook, and there's 3 tabs. And you could actually quickly browse them by using these little panels that are here to bounce between them. So this is the first sheet, and it's giving us some statistics about the sheet itself. The number of records, the number of columns, and a header hash. The header hash and all of these hash images, the purpose of them is so that you can quickly see if something has changed. So if we were working with this spreadsheet and we wanted to pre-flight it again in the future, if any of these header names or the structure of the header had changed at all, this image would be completely different, and we can see that there's a difference between the files. If you hover over as well, you get the actual hash. The data integrity check, this is an interesting portion. It shows all of the headers on the left. So these are all the headers of the file. The US Census uses these really kind of annoying to look at headers, but that's what they are. And it's also showing you that that's technically row 1. The first record is actually row 2, and here's all the data from the first. And it's going to show the first, middle, and last. What's very nice about this is you can see the position of the middle and last, so you don't have to calculate that out if you're doing a data integrity check. And then finally, all of the contents of each column are hashed just like the header hash. So that means if any data were to change at all within any of these columns, these images would change completely. And this makes it really easy to compare pre-flight reports to see the versions, if anything had changed. So that's the data integrity check. Down below, we have the column details. So these show you the column names, and that they're actually in the position that they're found. So this is the first column. And it shows the minimum length, which is 4. So the smallest area name that we have is 4 characters long. Then it has the maximum length of 29. That's the longest one we have. The unique values, there's about 3,193 unique values. And if we just go check, there's 3,198 total records, which means there's 5 duplicate values in here. Finally, we have the unique characters. So there's 57 unique characters found. The last 2 buttons here, the unique values and the unique characters, you can actually click on these to show you 100 of the values. So you can see what the values are in this column and just take a quick look. And oddly enough, you can see that it's not all consistent, because we have uppercase states in here as well as specific cities that are in proper case. If you click on the unique characters, it shows you each of the unique characters found, and if you hover over them, you get the UTF value. And finally, we have a section here that shows the types of data found. So these are types that Data Preflight has found and designated in each column. So the easiest way to see this is by opening the unique characters, and we can see all the different characters that show up, and Data Preflight says all of these are numeric, which makes sense because they're all numbers. This preflight shows a better example of the different types that we're identifying. So we're identifying numeric, alphabetic lowercase, alphabetic uppercase, punctuation, and non-ASCII characters. So very quickly you can take a look at the different columns and see, oh, you know, there's punctuation in here, and or there's non-ASCII characters in here. Maybe I wasn't expecting to see that. We also have column-specific warnings as well, and they show up to the left of the types in these yellow little boxes. So what's good about this is that, you know, there's some things that catch your eye in a column that we can call out. So in this case, we found that there's some blank values in here. So you know, this subtype, it's possible that it's blank. So it's not a bad thing, just letting you know that there's blanks in here, and just have a heads up. This is really nice if you're doing variable data work and you know that you can never have a blank value for an image file name, for example, if you always need that there. Or if you have a salutation and you have a first name and you're saying like hello first name, you always need to have that first name there. We also have a non-ASCII character warning, just a little heads up that we found something that's not standard, so you have to have a font that supports the extended characters. And we also have a static value warning. And this is nice because if you look at this, I mean, the only value that shows up in this 5 megabyte spreadsheet is these 4 zeros. So it begs the question, if column always has the same value and it's never blank, it's never anything else, then why do you need this column in the spreadsheet at all? You might as well just delete it and it's one less thing to check. Down below we have warnings, and warnings is it's something that I'm continually working on, but as of now we have a non-ASCII character warning. So what this does is it shows you the non-ASCII characters and the positions in the rows and columns. So it looks like we have 3 instances of non-ASCII characters, and it looks like in here there must be some kind of white space non-ASCII character, and over here there's this E with an accent on top of it. So this is important if you're running through variable data or mailing jobs with a font that might not have these extended characters. It's nice to flag these. So this is very similar to the type designations where we figure out that there's something in here, but it shows you exactly where that problem character is. Okay, so now that we have a good understanding of what the HTML version of the Preflight is, I hope you can see why it's valuable to provide that to somebody who maybe doesn't have the expertise to check a spreadsheet. You could provide that to a CSR, to a data specialist, and they can quickly check for problems, as well as perhaps print it out. It does print very well, and slide it into a job ticket for reference later. So we're going to look at something else right now. We're going to actually change this Preflight to output in a different format. So let's take a look at that. So we'll change the format from HTML to XML. Those are the only 2 formats right now that are supported. And we will add a folder here just to hold those jobs in place. So outputting a Preflight as an XML file is kind of interesting because Switch works very well with XML, and what we can do is consume the XML and use it as a data set, which we can then route the job based on the values in the Preflight. So here's an example of that XML that we've created. And you can see it's a very, very large XML file that has every piece of data that was in the HTML Preflight. It just as an XML format. So all the type designations, the sample values, the max and minimum lengths of columns, the hashes of all of the columns, the number of columns, all of that is in here. So I actually don't have the XML pickup module on here, the element, because I don't have the metadata module. But you could very easily consume this file as a data set and then route the job. Perhaps you want to just verify that a file that you're taking in for a system going into a smart stream perhaps has the right amount of columns or the right types in those columns, and you can route the job based on those values if it's been consumed as a data set. So that's the gist of Data Preflight, the app. It's definitely something that we're working on. We hope to have more features in the future. That's kind of why there's this action here, which only has one action. There are some other things in the pipeline that I have planned for it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment in the thread or in the video. Thanks.